This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pingrack. BTL is brought to you by Lawrence, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where I'm flying solo today. I'm going to talk bass fishing and anything else that I want to talk about. A fantastic show today, a show that I've been working on for several months. It is finally going to happen today, and we are very excited to have on a senior VP of Bass Pro Shops White River Marine Group as a result of what the fans out there have requested, and I'm very excited to get Cara Davison on the show today. We're going to go to her here in about 2 or 3 minutes, and we're going to see what she has to say. This is a person that has been in the industry an enormous amount of time, a vast amount of experience, and hey, just like we always try to do here on BTL, the fans want to hear. So I greatly appreciate Cara and all her support staff in giving the BTL fans an opportunity to hear what Cara has to say. So very excited about that. First, I need to clear something up. All right, Ken Duke and I had a fantastic show today, but we couldn't figure out this person that I talked to several years ago. And actually, it was back 2004 was the year, and we couldn't remember who the angler was. The angler was Mark Kyle. All right. And I spoke to Kelly Jordan last night. I talked to Dean Rojas last night, and both of them said, yes, that was Mark Kyle. Had a fantastic season in 2004. And then all of a sudden decided, that's it, man. And he went to work for Skeeter Boats. And I'm not really sure what Mark is doing now. Neither Dean or Kelly knew what Mark was involved with today, but if you go back and you look at his stats on Bassmaster.com, the intriguing thing was the last event that he fished in was the 2004 Bassmaster Classic, of which he finished in, let's see here, I think it was 29th place. But as far as a regular season event, his final event, he finished second at Santee Cooper and then finally said, you know what, I'm going to do something else. Kelly actually sent me Mark's last known contact info. So toward the end of the week this week, I'm going to reach out and see if I can get in contact with Mark Kyle and see if he wants to come on the show and talk about, that was almost 20 years ago. I'm old. 20 years ago. But yeah, that's the dude that we were trying to think about yesterday, and I sent Ken Duke a text and told him, hey, it was Mark Kyle. I was right. I didn't think it was because in my brain I was thinking about Mark Tyler, not Mark Kyle. But Mark Kyle is the guy that we were referencing in yesterday's show. And there was a ton of stuff discussed in yesterday's show. So hopefully everybody out there got a chance to go back and listen to the fine discussion that myself and Ken Duke had yesterday on the show. All right. Hopefully, keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully I'm going to be able to make it through this show without coughing up a lung because, as I mentioned yesterday, a little cold, a lot of allergies, all kinds of stuff taking place for me over the weekend, and yesterday was a struggle. Feel much, much better today. I have 2 bottles of green tea today for the show. So we will definitely get through this, hopefully, at a much better pace from a coughing standpoint than I did yesterday. Last thing I want to say, and then we're going to go to our special guest. We're going to have Cara on for about 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, and then she has an appointment she has to get to. What I'd like to do is after the interview, I want to be able to take some phone calls on the Sunline Hotline and just see what you guys have to say. You can talk about the interview. You can talk about whatever you want. I know Matt's not here, of which, by the way, Matt, seems to be a little dialed in, but a lot of rain going on down at Smith Lake, and the conditions changing every day as they always do in the fall. But I will take some phone calls once the interview with Cara Davison is concluded, and we'll take a break, and then we'll come back, take some phone calls, see what you guys have to say. All right, it is time to go to this special interview on a special show here on BTL, and I am very, very thankful that she was able to take some time to come on the show. So let's welcome our guest right now. Cara, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing wonderful, doing much better than yesterday. Good. And I know myself and the fans can't thank you enough for coming on the show. You're big time, and we appreciate you taking time out to come on and just kind of communicating with the fans on several issues today.
Absolutely. I'm just happy to be here for sure. You said you've been working on an interview for months. Why didn't you just call me? You could have called me. And
I didn't have the hotline. I don't see the hotline. Do you have the red phone? Is the bat phone or anything behind you there that I can just call up? Now I know.
We're pretty accessible. Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. First, for all the fans out there watching and listening to the podcast on the replay, kind of give a background on what your involvement has been with Bass Pro Shops.
Oh, for sure. So I've been with the company just a little bit over 20 years. I celebrated 20 years in March. And, when I started, prior to that, 3 years, I worked for Cobalt Boats, which is a different segment in the industry, right? But right out of college, I worked for Cobalt Boats for about 3 years. And back in the day, answered a job ad in the newspaper, as you did 20 some years ago, right?
Yeah.
And a series of interviews quickly led to a role internally in sales. So actually, when I started, I handled fiberglass scheduling for the Nitro and the Tahoe brands within our portfolio, and kind of moved around within the company over to marketing for a bit, and then back into sales, into what I do today. And, Johnny, we hear Johnny Morris, our founder, talk so often that Bass Pro Shops could only exist in America in the free enterprise system that we enjoy today. And I liken that, honestly, to my career with this company. It's a very special culture, and it's a company that you get out of it what you put into it. And I've been so fortunate these last 20 years to be partnered with great leaders in the industry that have allowed me to dive in and really learn the business and develop deep relationships with our suppliers, with our pros families, with our dealers. We have a tremendous dealer network. So all in all, it's been a tremendous ride, and I'm looking forward to the next 20. I'll be honest.
All right. Very cool. Now, recently you did earn a promotion, correct? You're now a senior VP.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So, yep. So
congrats.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I partner with Terry Shook, who handles our manufacturing side of the business. And I have the dealers and dealer services and anything really to do with support services and admin. So make it a great team. It's going well. The last 18 months has been tremendous for the entire industry. We had a record 2020 year with our business model as it is. I don't want to get into that right now, but had a tremendous 2020, and 2021 is stacking up to be just as great. So looking forward to seeing what the next retail season brings too, because sales are staying extremely strong right now.
All right. That's awesome. Now let's jump right in. One of the things that we do here and have done really for the history of this show, and really for the history of my company, it's about educating, entertaining, and engaging. And the fans really engage with this show. And one of the probably the most talked about discussions that we've had when we open it up and kind of let the fans talk about whatever they want to talk about was the situation that occurred when Ranger Boats made the decision. And I'm going to let you, the floor is going to be yours, but I'm kind of setting it up here. The fans wanted to know, hey, Ranger Boats, an iconic brand, so many loyal Ranger boat owners out there. Why was some iconic names on that pro staff eliminated and just kind of sent off to go out and get their own boat deals when they had been with Ranger Boats forever? What can you tell the fans about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a hot topic. And, I think it's important, Mark, that everyone understands that we're a company that listens socially. And by that, I mean, we're listening to what's going on Instagram, on Facebook, and all those social channels. And Bass Boat Central, I'm a little bit of an addict. My husband is, especially on Bass Boat Central. We like to watch what's going on those owners' forums for sure. And, that's been a tremendous topic, and we can't shy away from it. We had some changes to make. We have 3 brands within our household name brand of fiberglass fishing. So Triton, Ranger, and Nitro for sure. We did have some cuts, and but the bigger picture, and what I would really encourage us all to think about and to look at is, we welcomed Ranger and Triton into our family of brands about 6 years ago. Now, that seems impossible to me to think about that it's been 6 years, but we've really had to step back and look at the rich investments we wanted to make to true up the future of Ranger boats. Ranger had been, if you will, kind of tossed at sea the last 4 or 20 years, I should say, with 4 different buyouts. And, Johnny tells this great story about when I asked him, one day in his office, and he's as common as the day is long. I just said, John, can you help me understand? Like, I would really love to hear the story about what brought you to the point of wanting to purchase Ranger boats. And he gets up on the edge of his seat and he starts talking like a kid and kind of engaging with his hands and telling this great story about, seeing Ranger as a brand that, over the course of the last couple of decades had been, tossed around and maybe purchased from folks that didn't really have an investment in the industry and weren't really concerned about growing the sport of fishing. And, that he really saw it as an opportunity to bring this great iconic brand into our portfolio of brands. And it, as he describes, it sits at the top of the food chain, right? It's the most aspirational brand there is in fiberglass fishing, and everybody wants to own a Ranger. When you own a Ranger, it's the Cadillac or the Mercedes of the boat business, right? And so what he's done over the course of the last 5 years is we have made rich investments in our state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities for all 3 of our brands. We have Ranger, like I said, in Flippin, Arkansas. It will never leave Flippin, Arkansas. That's the heart of the watermelon. That's where all the magic happens. The fiberglass is just in their veins in Flippin, Arkansas. And I look at the families and generation after generation that work at that plant. And you've got the Huddlestons. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners today know Connie Hill. At some point, I guarantee you, if they own a Ranger, she has helped them color their boat. And she's the custom color lady. She does an amazing job. And we've been able to retain some of the top talent, which is great. But just really make that a state-of-the-art facility there in Flippin, Arkansas. And, we put boats out just like Forrest Wood started in 1968, building legends one at a time. And the history of that brand is so very special to us. And we've been it's been a tremendous pleasure to welcome that brand into our environment and into our family of brands. And then we have Midway, Arkansas houses our Triton facility. And Clinton, Missouri houses our Nitro facility. And we don't cross those brands into other manufacturing facilities because the DNA is so specific to each of those brands. The demographic of each of those buyers is so different with each of those brands. And we won't tarnish that. John bought Ranger and Triton to really true them up for a very successful future moving forward. And especially, I think I'm happy myself that it wasn't held by another private equity firm or somebody that maybe wasn't as invested in the great outdoors as what John is. And so just the rich investment we've made into those manufacturing facilities. And then another thing I think about as well, and kind of repositioning how we had to look at Ranger as a brand was, shortly after we purchased that facility, we went in and gave everybody on that manufacturing floor a raise, and just to really invest in the folks of that area. And John talks about, that's the heart of the Ozarks, and that's where the freshwater business is best nestled. We have Ozark craftsmanship that makes our boats just the best on the market. And, it's humbling for me when you walk out onto the plant floor and to look the boat builders in the eyes and just to see the pride and the passion that they put into each and every boat that comes off the line. And that's what it's all about, Mark. I'm telling you, they have the hardest jobs in this company, the boat builders do. And that's what keeps me in my seat every day with the job. That's what keeps you in your seat every day on this podcast to talk about the great brands that we have. And then, thirdly, I think another thing that we have to look at, or at least evaluate, is the Bassmaster Classic. I'm sure your audience follows the Bassmaster Classic. I think this was the 13th Bassmaster Classic that I attended this year. It was great in Fort Worth. They put on a great show. But, we spent millions of dollars in research and development and developing and able to launch 3 brand new boats at the Bassmaster Classic this year. And I will tell you that Ranger 520R has been the most wildly received Ranger ever put on the market. And our can't talk about our backlog with it, but I'm telling you, it's a huge success for us. And so while there's been a lot of focus on what's going on with the pros and what's happened, I can tell you that we sit today and I mean, we boast an elite pro staff team between the 3 brands of 60 plus pro anglers and some of the best names in the industry, particularly for Ranger. You've got Clark Winlet and Jordan Lee and Brent Ayler out on the West Coast. And just, of course, you can't forget Kevin Van Dam and Ott Defoe and Edwin Evers, and then also Randy Howell and the folks from Triton. Just we're so proud and of our pro staff, and we love those guys and respect the heck out of what they do and their families and every day for just being great ambassadors for the brand.
So it kind of in a direction that it seems like that not only your company, but a lot of companies in the industry, there is kind of a dynamic shift in the way that they are attacking, and it seems like the positioning of the marketing of approach in today's economy rather than the way that things have typically been done over the last 20, 30 years. Is that kind of
maybe restate that question a little bit?
Simply put, things in the fishing industry in so many aspects, things have been done the same way over and over and over and over. Right? For so many years, a lot of these guys, they were so iconically related to that particular brand in Ranger. But to stay ahead of the game, a lot of times you have to change. You have to make adjustments because of what the business environment is consisting of. So, what I got from that, it kind of sounds like that there has been a dynamic shift in the approach that, hey, look, we still have 60 guys on our pro staff, but we are taking a deeper, much more detailed approach on how we are going to allocate those funds for our pro staff to represent those brands.
You could say that, I guess. I think that, the bottom line is we remain very committed to our elite and pro staff. Just, they're important to our overall business. It's not just the manufacturing side of the business, but our retail side of the business too. They bring people through the doors every day, using our product and being fine sponsors there on the Bass Pro side too. And, there was just kind of some, I think, some changes that needed to be made. They were made. And, I think, again, if I could bring our focus back to the big picture of the investments that we're making in Ranger and in Triton and continue to in Nitro to just really continue to grow the sport of fishing. And we're going to do it with the finest partners in our elite staff that arguably are the best in the nation, in the world.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, 60 guys on a team, that's still pretty stout. And I know you guys have a lot of brands, but you do and definitely have some of the iconic names in this industry representing the brands that are really under the White River Marine umbrella. All right, let's move on.
Just real quick, one of the things I would say though too is, some of our pros too have been with us their entire careers, and even on the Ranger side, been with Ranger their entire careers and haven't walked away. And I think there's just some big picture thinking that we have to shift to with what we're doing. Johnny again is in this business to grow the business and to really preserve it and to make it even stronger for the next generation of anglers. And that's what we should all be concerned about.
All right, let's move on to another hot topic from the fans and from a lot of fans across the country is, why did Bass Pro Shops decide to get involved in this $1 million tournament series, the US Open Series?
Oh, I'll tell you what, why wouldn't we, right? I mean, if you looked at the success that we're seeing, we just had our 7th event. We have our 8th event coming up on Grand Lake, and then the last chance qualifier that's on Bull Shoals just the weekend before the actual event that NBC Sports will be broadcasting live from Table Rock Lake in our very backyard, the lake where it all started, right? So every event's been a sellout of a registration process. The registrations are open for 24 hours, and typically we have 6, 7, 800 registrations in that time, and the lucky 250 get to fish in the event. So it's just been a tremendous effort on our part to really focus on continuing to grow the sport of fishing and really to introduce an amateur style series that encompasses, fishing partners. We had granddaughters fishing with their grandfathers. We had father and son teams. We had some college angler teams. I mean, it was amazing to me. I was at the first event in Okeechobee, Lake Okeechobee, and that was back in March. I don't remember the exact date, to be honest. It's been a busy year, but we were at that event, and to see, we were there at 4:30, 3:30 that morning, whatever it was, to greet and to give the anglers a hot croissant sandwich and a bowl of fruit and send them on their way and to the lunch, and just to look all of those folks in their eyes that morning at 4:30. They were a little glazed over, but nonetheless excited to be there. And if you've seen any of the setup, it's a pro style elite series, Bassmaster Classic. I would even put it in comparison to something like that, where these guys and gals feel like a pro for the day, and just such special memories have come from this event. And at the end of the day, it's, today's amateurs are tomorrow's pros, right? And it's another testament to us growing the business and making those rich investments in the future of the sport. And then also, too, I would say, 100% of the proceeds from these tournaments go back in to the National Fish Habitat Society to further endure and further true up our conservation efforts as a company. So, I can't wait. I would hope that you would make the trip up from Moore, Oklahoma, and come visit us on that weekend in November and see what it's like firsthand. They're planning a lot of fun stuff. I invite anybody listening to this to Big Cedar Lodge and to the Outdoor Academy, where I think a lot of the event will probably take place. But you never know what we have up our sleeve. It's going to be a great time. The expo will be tremendous, and I think just really provide an atmosphere where families can come together, anglers can come together, really the spirit of the industry and who we are, and just being able to really celebrate and enjoy the great outdoors that weekend. So $1 million on the line, Mark, $1 million.
Yeah, it's been a while since somebody made $1 million in fishing. That happened. I don't know how many years ago it was, but I think there were $2 million winners at one time. So it's pretty cool that somebody's going to win $1 million. So
it is
excited.
And two bass boats and 2 Tundras on the line as well. And those new Tundras look great. So
yeah, I get it, and that's going to be interesting to see how the non-fishing audience views this whole concept that's going to be on NBC Sports, and obviously the results of that are going to be really intriguing to me to see what the response is from the non-fishing fans. And we could talk 2 hours about that. So we're kind of short on time.
Yeah, I know, but you're right. I mean, the exposure to the non-fishing fans is what's so important, and it goes back into growing the sport of fishing. So, yep.
All right, we have just a few minutes left, but there's a couple of things that I do want to hit you up on. There's been a lot of discussion over the last 10, 15 years about how important e-com is compared to brick and mortar. Obviously, your company took a huge investment with the acquisition of Cabela's, a lot of brick and mortar there. What's kind of the direction? What can you tell us? What is more important as a company, the brick and mortar or the e-commerce, or is it a 50-50 split? What's kind of the scoop on that?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. We have equal focus on both. As an omni-channel company, we're going to meet the customer where they want to be met. And, I think that we would all agree that the Bass Pro stores across the nation are destination shops, right? And we've made them so that people can come enjoy the great outdoors inside, right? And to be able to shop and just be intrigued by everything that's around them. But e-commerce is an important part of our business as well. On the boat side of the company, I would say that, we're still developing e-commerce initiatives. We're brick and mortar boat showrooms. People want to come in, touch, feel, see the product, and we get that completely too. So we're respectful of both channels, and we continue to develop both channels equally and have equal focus and energy surrounding both.
All right. In 60 seconds or less, how challenging has this past year been with all the logistical nightmares and the everything from a staffing standpoint to a supply standpoint.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's hard to wrap up the last 18 months in 60 seconds. But, one of the most probably pivotal moments for our company was, when we went into almost a total shutdown mode and didn't know what was going to happen. And I was probably, I think, one of the 5 to 8 folks that were coming to the office every day upstairs at White River. And I remember one Saturday, or not Saturday, but Friday evening rather, Mark, for some reason I was in the office late. I'm not sure why. It was darker outside, and we have a beautiful campus. Johnny's really afforded us a beautiful place to work. And I remember turning around on the top stairs and looking across a dark floor, and the energy was just out of the building, and it was draining. And we had furloughed a lot of folks, and were able to bring those folks back eventually. But probably one of the saddest days in my career, because we didn't know what was going to happen. And it took about 6 weeks probably for, I think, the nation to retaliate a bit and to be not comfortable on lockdown any longer. And some bans started to be lifted and that sort of thing. And I'll tell you what, what followed after that in those 6 weeks was nothing short of tremendous. I mean, like I said, we had a tremendous 2020 with our business model. You can see it in market share numbers and in the market. And but we just really, people flocked to the outdoors, and especially to the lakes. And, you could tell last summer, right on the water, if anybody that spent any time on the water, you could tell those new boaters going across the water about like this, so it was just, it opened up a whole new set of families and customers into boating, and it didn't matter what brand, as long as they're introduced into boating and into the lifestyle of the great outdoors. That's where the richness is, and family memories are made. And what a great thing to have come from a lockdown that we were in, right? Is the reintroduction of passion to the great outdoors, and we're so thankful for that.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here, but you got to tell me one thing. What's an unknown fact about Johnny that you can tell us?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I should divulge any family secrets or not, but
come on.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I know he's got a tremendous sweet tooth, and any candy lying around, you better, if you want it, it's not safe from Johnny. And Andy's frozen custard, if you have an Andy's frozen custard in your backyard and you haven't visited them yet, you need to, because that's one of his faves too. And occasionally he buys for the entire company. So we're thankful for that for sure. But just a great family, great gentleman, and very happy to be along for the ride with Bass Pro Shops and White River Marine Group. And thank you so much, Mark, for bringing us on today and letting us share a bit of our side of the story.
All right. When things slow down a little bit, I need to get you back on where we have a little bit more time. Okay.
I would love that.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking what precious time you have, and hopefully that's shed a little light on some of the interest and feelings of some of the fans out there. So we greatly appreciate you taking time. Best of luck to you the remainder of the year, and we will definitely, hopefully, get you back on very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love it. Thank you so much, Mark.
All right. Take care, Kara.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. There you have it, Cara Davison, and we're going to open up the phone lines here after I take a break. I did not cough one time during that interview. Not one time. Now when I start to take phone calls, I'm probably going to hack a lung up or something. So we'll see. But we're going to take a short break. Hey, I got nobody to talk to. I need you guys to call me so I have somebody to talk to. I'm not a solo guy. I don't like doing this thing solo. I need my partner over here. Hopefully he's going to catch him. He's got one more tournament after this one, and then he'll make his way back. So we're going to take a break, come back, and hopefully hear from you, the fans, right here on BTL. Everybody stay tuned.
Elite FS puts the full range of Lowrance fish finding tools at your fingertips. Find fish with active imaging 3-in-1 with Fish Reveal. Target fish with active target live sonar and watch fish react to your lure as it happens. Built-in C-Map Contour Plus charts make it easy to find key fishing areas. But best-in-class charts and powerful sonar is only the beginning. It's easy to build your fully networked FS system. From sonar and waypoint sharing to controlling the Ghost trolling motor and power poles. Lowrance Elite FS. Targeting fish just got easier.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
So, you're looking to buy fishing electronics, huh? Are you also looking for true experts to help guide you through it? Well, at the Bass Tank, you've come to the right place. We are live forward-facing sonar pioneers with thousands of hours spent learning through winning trophies, cashing checks, and just having fun. Whatever brand you need, we have it. We offer free shipping, and we have 2 financing options available. Our experts are here to help you. Call us today or visit thebasstank.com.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
Everybody loves to chase bass on the water. But is your most valuable asset protected when it's not on the water? Empire Covers can preserve your bass boat against even the harshest conditions. When the storm is coming, that bass boat needs to be protected. Check out EmpireCovers.com for all your cover needs. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution when it comes to protecting that asset. Empire Covers is the ultimate solution in easy protection for your truck, for your boat, for your car, anything that needs to be protected from the elements. BTL listeners can receive free shipping plus an extra 15% off their entire order on EmpireCovers.com. Just use the promo code BTL at checkout. Empire Covers. Protect what you love.
There's one.
You know what works. Now you need a bunch of them so you don't run out on your next fishing trip. The Big Bite Pro Packs feature 25 baits per pack at a price far below that of having to buy 5 packs of regular baits. Now the Pro Pack has a big brother, the Mega Pack. The Mega Pack features 100 of your favorite baits.
With these, one bag is usually plenty to get through the day. It helps me stay organized, helps me save money, helps me catch more fish.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit Gamakatsu.com.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Duck It Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's 1 or 2 techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action as a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
All right, I'm back here on a Tuesday. The phone lines are open. What, nobody wants to talk to me? Jeez, I feel kind of hurt. That's all right. It is what it is. I have no idea what to talk about now because I really thought I'd be getting 2 or 3 phone calls, but who knows? I don't even know if the system's working. Does anybody want to talk about anything that they want to talk about? All right, here, I finally got a call coming in. Here we go. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
Hey, Mark, it's Bo Stevens in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh, my gosh. Bo, how are you?
You look like you're struggling, man. I know you like to have a partner that's sitting there next to you.
Well, I do. I said that. I'm not a solo guy, man. I can't sit here and blab about whatever. You give me a subject and I might be able to blab about it a little bit if I know anything about it.
Yeah, so I had to call in. It looked like you needed help. Hey, that was a great interview with Kara, and I was trying to watch the comments. I had a couple of opinions if you want to talk about it.
Sure, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of the fans are worried about or inquisitive about, they want some answer of, okay, so why did you cut so many Ranger Pros? And she didn't answer that directly. But as spending my time in business, I mean, that's a huge business now. That's not a tackle shop, right? They're building boats and huge brick and mortar, millions of dollars. And I think they run a good business, clearly. But what about the example of if they can build X number of Ranger boats and they figured out what that number is where they're extremely profitable, and then they look at their pro staff and say, you know what, we've got too many. We're sending too many boats to pros where there are consumers that will buy these. And does a pro deserve a boat or a deal just because he's been on pro staff for 20 years? So I think every business goes through that process of examining their investment in people. And I think they kind of had to look at that, and they came up with a number and said, this is what we're going to have. And some guys got cut. What do you think about that?
No, I agree. And that's when I kind of dove into the whole dynamic shift in marketing dollars. The other thing too, and we didn't get into it, and I apologize to everybody that we were kind of short on time, but she's a very, very, very busy person at a very high level in a very large company. And I feel somewhat fortunate to be able to get 30 minutes to tackle some of those topics. And I know it was kind of rushed, and it is what it is, but I think in a very different kind of way that she did answer it, and she did kind of overcome the fact that it's not just Bass Pro Shops. It's other companies in and outside of the fishing industry that, because of how the economy and the direction and generate revenue is changing so quickly, so rapidly, that they took a look at the numbers and they made a decision, and they started a shift in what they wanted to spend their marketing dollars on. I mean, there's nothing secret about that. That happens all the time, Bo.
Yep, I get it. Yeah, and maybe they took some of those funds and invested in this, the US Open. I mean, that, there are people commenting on the chat, on your live chat today, that have participated in that. I would love to hear them call in and tell me, they had a very positive experience. That's a cool event. People take their kids, they fish in a tournament, and they have the opportunity to qualify and fish for $1 million. So,
it happens so many times, and not just in the fishing industry. I mean, you look at leading companies in all kinds of other industries, and everybody, not everybody, there is a group of consumers, there's a group of people, whatever you want to call it, that look at companies in different industries as the evil empire. And that's just not the case. And I said it yesterday. I go, what is wrong with organizations trying to make money? They're making decisions and trying to do everything that covers everything that is involved in taking care of the employees, taking care of the assets that they have in place, taking care of the future. And I made a big deal yesterday about the whole what's next thing. I think if more companies in this industry would be more concerned about what's next than about the now, we would all be a little bit happier. And the whole evil empire thing, I mean, I've heard that
Mark,
with baseball
I'll
stuff and
on,
basketball stuff and all that.
Yeah, I'll comment on that, Mark. You know, the people that listen to Bass Talk Live for the most part are really hardcore bass fans.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And so I support my local tackle shop that has things that Bass Pro Shop doesn't carry. And I like shopping there too and getting local information and talking to somebody. But, but Bass Pro is at a different level, trying to reach the absolute masses, right?
Yeah.
They don't just want me buying rods and reels and line and hooks. They want my wife in there. They want my kids in there. They want your grandparents in there buying hats and candy and, and
it's
so
an experience.
Us hardcore bass heads go, I don't know about, Bass Pro's gone this direction. They have a different business model, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened with these boat deals. They just go in a different direction.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll ever happen. It'll be interesting to see, excuse me, what the development is over the next 5 to 10 years, even 20 years, whether or not Bass Pro Shops will ever go public. Will it continually be held as a private company? Cabela's was a publicly traded company, and then when they made the purchase of Cabela's.
Hey, Mark, one technical thing. I'm on for the next caller that calls in. I'm hearing your background music on the line while I'm talking to you.
My background music?
Yeah, like your show music is playing.
There's no way. It's muted. That's not my show music.
It just stopped. No, yeah, I don't know what I'm getting, but
It's not my music. It may be some kind of feedback from something. Because, dude, I got the channel turned down. It's muted.
Okay.
Anyway, so no, dude, I appreciate you calling in. Here, look, bottom line, there are very few companies that have contributed to the future of this game from a conservation standpoint, from an employment standpoint. Think about how many people that they employ. That's a lot of jobs out there that Bass Pro Shops provides people, both full-time and part-time, and based upon what your needs and aspirations are. And think about the support that Bass Pro Shops has given the tournament game and the tournament series, both from a national level, a regional level, and a local level. That's a pretty big-time player, and I think sometimes people forget about the commitment that organization has to supporting what everybody else is trying to do with this game. Am I off base on that?
No, they're putting listen, Johnny Morris is committed to the sport. I mean, look at all he's done. You have to, those of us that enjoy the outdoors, he does too. And whatever you think about Bass Pro or their website or whatever, that guy's putting his money. He's putting money he doesn't have to back into the sport. And, for example, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame and everything he's got going on, he's doing a lot of good for the sport too that I think we benefit from.
Yeah. No, I agree. And this is something else, and I know you've heard this, Bo. Competition makes you better. It does. And the competition that they're getting from an e-com standpoint is on fire, because there are other companies out there that I think definitely have an edge when it comes to e-com. But from a brick and mortar standpoint, I really don't think so, because it's more about the experience while enabling the consumer to be able to have a massive, opportunity to go in and buy what they have. Now, forget about the whole COVID issues with the supply chain and all that. But in normal times, there's a pretty good selection at Bass Pro Shops. But from an e-com standpoint, that is where the competition is fierce. And you and I can name 3 or 4 different companies, and there's one at the forefront that really has, pardon the pun, tackled the e-commerce game in a fabulous way. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I agree. And there are other people now attempting to compete with them. If they're the e-commerce tackle giant, there are other, so when you become big, I work for some big companies, and when you become really giant, sometimes you're vulnerable to these really nimble companies that can do cool things and move faster than you can. And so I think that's what we're seeing is some of these, tackle supply companies are doing it a little different way. They see an opening that, hey, maybe Bass Pro's not great on the e-commerce. Let's get that, and they can do it creatively and compete with them. And so we, the consumers, benefit.
Competition is a great thing, man. It makes you better. And as long as you are aggressive and look forward to what's next, how do I stay ahead of this game, then I think all parties involved benefit from that.
Yep.
Hey, man.
Well, okay, I'll let you take some more calls.
No, here, I got one more
awesome. Hey.
I got one more question for you real quick. All right, what are your thoughts on Josh Heupel?
Oh, I like him. But, I have some Oklahoma roots, so I kind of know him. And here in Knoxville, Tennessee, we've been through so many coaches lately. If they'll just be patient with him, I think he'll do a really good job for the Vols. So we were excited to beat Missouri. We'll see how excited we are when we play Tennessee, when we play Alabama and Georgia.
All right, man. Hey, we'll get you back on. I know we had you scheduled, and then the catastrophe happened in the studio, but we'll get you on very soon, Bo.
It's all good, man.
All
hey,
right.
And give us updates on Matt when you can. We're all pulling for him.
Yeah. All right, we'll do, man. All right, thanks for calling in.
See you, man.
All right, see you. All right, there you have it. Bo, a really, really good guest host when we had him on here in the studio. Did a fantastic job. All right, let's go back to the phones. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
Brandon Osteen.
Brandon. All right, first I have to ask you, do you hear music?
Hang on, I just did there temporarily.
Okay, you had your speaker on,
I hear the
though.
music, yeah.
You hear music?
Yeah, I hear his background music for his show.
I have no idea what that is. I told you, man, Gremlins in the studio.
It's really muffly, too. Like, it's really muffly and loud.
Here, let's, how about now? You hear it now?
There it just went away.
Okay, that is bizarre. I did nothing.
Yeah, it keeps cutting in and out.
All right. Anyway, man, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mark. So anyways, here, I just I made a comment there about earlier everybody was making questions about her not making any answers on the question. I'm involved in manufacturing, so I really enjoyed that interview. A lot of people just don't see the big picture with that. Today's market has changed. You go back 10 years or so, I've been in manufacturing now for 15. Manufacturing was always on the hindsight of everything and in the rear view mirror, and the sales and the promotion side of things, that was always out in the limelight. Well, today's model has changed. There aren't the people that want to go to work. People don't want manufacturing jobs. They think, I'll go to work in a factory to build a boat or to build a component or something. So right now on the manufacturing side, we're having to spend so much money to do automation, to do robots, to do all the things that keep manufacturing moving forward. And that money has to come from somewhere. So the way she answered it, like the times are changing. So the money that's being pulled out of the marketing budgets, the sales budgets that traditionally was endless are now being put back into manufacturing. And the companies that are doing that, you're going to see them move forward at a rapid pace over the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a trend.
Everything she said, I think everything she said was spot on. And the biggest thing is people with open ears, they understand that. But when everybody says, oh, she don't answer the question, or other industry people, they don't answer the question, it's because they're not hearing the answer they want to hear. They're wondering why guys like Ish Monroe had to go to Skeeter or this and that, but they just don't see the big picture. Like they want to look down a narrow tunnel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned it yesterday. A lot of people don't like to see companies make money and be successful. You agree with that?
Yeah, it's just 100%. And me being on the manufacturing side of things, I get to see it on a daily basis, and being heavily involved in fishing. It's just the common person would not understand, So when they say they're adding manufacturing, you look at a company like Vexus Boats. They just put out an article yesterday, direct competition of the Whitewater Marine Group, the old Ranger group. They're investing $4.5 million and 50 new jobs, in that area. Well, of that $4.5 million, that's to keep the company growing. I mean, that's to get the latest technology. That's to, it's not so much for marketing dollars and this and that, but if we don't continue to push the envelope farther in manufacturing, everybody out here is going to be frustrated because there is no advancements in boats, or there is no advancements in rod and reels. It's just so frustrating to hear people that they just want to look at stuff with a narrow mind.
Yeah, you make some valid points there, dude. You really do, and I appreciate you calling in.
Yep, and if you really want to have a show sometime, I've emailed you before. You need to have a show from camera boat drivers and marshals, because guys like myself, I've been a camera boat driver for Bass, FLW. You'll see me puking my brains out in a lot of Brandon Pollock videos. I think if you get a few guys on here, you could have a show for the viewers that they will get a lot of laughs on.
I need to get you on. What are you talking about?
You need to. Let's make it happen. Like, there's so many behind the scenes stories that people just don't get to see. And some of the guys that are doing the YouTube videos, you get to start seeing that now. But
yeah.
Oh man, someday I always said I'm going to write a book on the stuff that people don't get to see behind the closed scenes. My boat breaking down 85 miles on Lake Huron from my truck and trailer. We get towed back in on plane, to losing truck keys in the lake, to puking, to Shea Baker back in the 2015 Open when Derek Remitz was on Lake Erie. We was the camera boat on him all 3 days. The waves were so big and so rough that I put inflatable or throwable cushions underneath on the seats. And we come off of about a 5 or 6 foot wave down on him, and Shea landed so hard it blew it out, and he was sopping wet to begin with, and completely covered his face with the feathers.
Wow!
Just stuff you can't. Oh yeah, just stuff that you can't make up. But
wow!
For another day.
Book it, man. We will get that booked. Hey, one of the things, and I had mentioned this when we had all the computers crash and the hard drives and the rebuild that took place in the studio, a lot of my previous emails and stuff that I had filed away on the hard drive, not on the cloud, went away. So, you need to shoot me another email so I have all your contact info, and we definitely want to do that for a show.
Yeah, like I said, great show. Like I said, just it was refreshing to hear some different opinions. It's not so much as fishing 101 that we hear every day.
Yeah.
People like Kara that came on, and other people. It's cool to hear their outlook, and hopefully get some people change their perspective on things and understand that, it takes a lot of things in the world to make things go around. So
look, man, the last thing I want to say with you on the line, and this goes to everybody out there that's watching and listening too, there is a definite resource in supporting your local tackle store. The amount of just personalization is what I call it, and the relationship that you have with those local tackle store owners is invaluable. Not from only just a fishing standpoint, but from a friendship standpoint too. I have countless stories of the local tackle store that we had in Oklahoma City that was there for years, and then finally they decided to retire and they sold everything and they were gone. But the friendships, the relationships, the little niche things that you can find at these local tackle stores are priceless. And I don't think people are trying to take away from the importance of what the local tackle store does for everybody that spends time on and off the water. So don't misinterpret the fact that, yes, the Bass Pro Shops of the world are not still entrenched in what needs to take place from a local standpoint and from an engagement standpoint. The thing about it is, when you're dealing with that many employees, that many people, that many customers, yeah, you're going to have some negativity. It's that way in any business that you're involved with. All right? But what counts is how they respond and how they continue to take care of the anglers, the customers, and the employees. And that's what really matters.
100%.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll get you booked. Thanks for calling.
Can I go into one other thing real quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So in light of that, my best friend, when you talk about, you got the empires of the fishing world, you got the Bass Pro Shops, the tackle warehouses, the tackle directs and whatnot. Well, I'm fortunate. My best friend, he owns one of those small. It's called LBA Baits. He works out of his garage. He's actually right now he's down at Smith Lake. This year he jumped in the Bassmaster Opens. I think he's sitting 16th in points. He went down there with a 1996 Skeeter boat that we wrapped for $250 in my garage. I mean, so when it comes to that, but on the side he's got a company. It's called LBA Baits. Lola Boone and Elective, this kid's name. And he builds soft plastics. So we travel basically in the Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky corridor just to some smaller tackle shows. That personalization, the friendships that we've met, it's not about the dollar. We don't do this to make money. We go there to enjoy ourselves, to have fun. It helps people out. Kids come through our booths, and we go to about every show. The promoters come and they're like, man, you guys are giving kids free baits and this and that. And in the grand scheme of things, whether we're Bass Pro Shops or we're LBA Baits, everybody is there for the same reason, like to help. And I hate the term grow the sport, but
yeah, don't say that.
Promote the sport, I think, is a better word. Promote the sport, not grow the sport. Everybody is there to promote the sport. And I give kudos to all the companies, big and small. If everybody would just work at seeing a bigger picture, the sport could be promoted. So, but no, thanks for having me on. Like I said, when you decide you want to do a show sometime on some behind the scenes camera boat stories, we'll make it happen.
Done, man. Send me the info. We'll get you booked.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Mark.
Thanks for calling. All right. That's really good stuff there. And I know several people that called in while he was on the line. So go ahead and call back, and we will try to get to your call. Interesting perspective that he had there, and love hearing back from the fans. All right, let's go to the phones. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
Hey, Mark, it's JD. How you doing?
JD, how are you, man? I'm hearing rumors about you.
Uh-oh, like what?
Were you the winning bidder again?
No.
Okay.
I helped bid it up, though.
Okay. All right. I was receiving rumors that you were the winner again on the Hall of Fame bidding.
I think I texted Matt. I was like, hey, I bid on it again. And I was like, I got the higher bid there for a little bit. And I was like, okay. And then I got outbid. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to see how far this person wants to go. Because I remember last year, whoever wanted to go, who I was bidding against, they wanted it pretty bad too. So I helped bid it up a little bit. But yeah, did you see how much it was? It's like $33,000 something.
It was $3,300, I think. That was more than what you paid last year. So looking forward to that. I was kind of excited. I was like, yeah, we get JD back in the studio. Anyway,
I still need to come down and bring a kayak for you to get on. So anyway,
yeah.
But I was glad you guys had her on there. I mean, I'm dealing with the kayak side, and and that one of your other callers, I think the first or second guy that called in, talking about the manufacturing situations, and and I deal with 4 different kayak brands that I deal with, and one of them I got a call from my rep because I hadn't gotten my preseason, because you put in preseason orders for the next year.
Yeah.
And basically, one of the companies looked at their situation as far as how many boats they can produce, and they said, well, we can only produce this many. Well, so they went to their 4 biggest dealers first and gave them dibs on everything, and they bought up all the production. So basically, my sales rep had to call me and say, hey, you're not going to get any of those boats for 2022.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that was one of I was just blown away. And the funny thing is my sales rep was pretty hot about the whole deal too. And he was just like, they're basically screwing all the smaller dealers, you know, and my other manufacturers, what they did is they just went through and did the same process and went, okay, we're going to allocate this many. They basically looked at what you had done previously and said, hey, here's what you sold last year. Here's what we're going to allocate. How many of these do you want to buy? You can either buy in at the high, you know, at the max number that they could give you, or you can, you know, say, well, I'm going to dial it back a little bit. But, and like I told my sales rep from the guys that hosed me, I was like, well, you know what? It just frees up more dollars that I can buy boats from other manufacturers.
Oh, wow. Man.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's kind of the scenario that a lot of businesses, a lot of people are going through, and it's unfortunate. But let me ask you this: being in the retail business, obviously with what you have going on, there's got to be relationships, and I spoke a little bit about the relationship that I had with the family that owned the tackle store here in Oklahoma City. I mean, it wasn't that big; it was kind of big, but it wasn't really that big. And that relationship was priceless, especially when it came to learning more about the game, learning more about the product, learning more about just everything that was involved with the advancement of trying to catch more fish. Is that how it is? I mean, do you have relationships with your customers, friendships that they love the camaraderie and that kind of just home feeling that a lot of the local tackle stores give to a lot of consumers?
Oh, for sure. I've got several customers that come in all the time. I've got one guy who's a guide on the local lakes around here, and you know, and he sends people my way, and I help them out, you know, where I can. And I got, you know, the community around here. There's some nice subdivisions, and they've got ponds and stuff. And I've got families that come in, and dads and moms that, hey, my kid wants to fish, you know, and so like get them set up. And I think one of the coolest things that ever happened was probably I'd been open for maybe a year, and a guy came in and he had no clue about fishing, and he had a rod and reel, and he goes, here's what I got. And so I basically respooled it, put new line on it, told him what to do, and you know, just basically what I did. And you'll love this too. I set him up with a Carolina rig. and seriously, like, couple 3 weeks later, he comes back in. He's like super happy, and he's got his phone out. He goes, dude, check out this picture of this. And he caught like this 4 or 5 pound bass in their little pond.
Wow.
And he was just ecstatic. And, you know, and then he got his kids set up and stuff, but stuff like that. That's what you do with a local shop. You know, and I go to the big box stores. I go to Shields. We don't have a Bass Pro close to us, but I go to Shields, and you walk around there, and yeah, they got something for everybody, but it's not the same. And I have people talk about it when they come into my shop. It's like they know that I know what I'm talking about, whether it's about the kayaks or it's about the fishing stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they'll go some of the local stores, you know, bigger box stores. We got a Field and Stream. You know, there's some good guys that work in there, but most of the time they're pretty understaffed, and most of the people don't know what's going on for a lot of the stuff. So, and I have people that come in and go, yeah, that's why they come here. So come to see me.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point. Have you ever been to I still call it the Pyramid in Memphis, the Bass Pro Shops there that's in the old Pyramid building?
I have not. That's the one place I haven't been. I've been to the Springfield store a couple times.
Yeah.
I usually stop when I'm driving down that way. But I that's one place I want to go check out for sure.
Yeah. You know, they have a bowling center in there.
Yes.
They do. They have bowling. It's kind of, I don't know. They have all this animated stuff for decorative kind of decor or whatever around the lanes and stuff, but it's still bowling center in the Pyramid.
Yeah, the Peoria Bass Pro Shops, they've got a bowling center in there as well.
Really?
Probably not. Yeah, probably not to that level, but you know, they've got I want to say like 8 or 10 lanes, I think.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And, hey, on the UPS?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. The UPS what?
I said on the UPS front, you'll understand the significance of this. But my UPS driver, local guy, he just got his 25 years of no accident deal with his UPS truck.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah, it was. There's like a big thing on his Facebook page. Somebody posted it. I was like, and And I saw him, and I laughed at him. I said, "Dude, I've seen you drive around town. How in the world do you get 25 years without an accident?" And he just kind of chuckles and says, he goes, it's hard to do. He goes, but I know how to drive this truck. I said, I guess you do.
That's awesome. That is a really, really tough thing to do, to have 25 years of safe driving. That's a lot of donuts.
To do that job for 25 years has got to be tough.
Yeah, that used to be the big thing back in my early years at UPS, was you have safety meetings, and they always had donuts.
Mm-hmm.
So all those safe driving days were a result of all the donuts that you brought in for the drivers. It was donut day on safety day.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, well, man,
Are you guys going to do another Black Rifle Coffee thing?
Hopefully. It's been so chaotic with Matt being gone, and it just, yeah. I mean, the plan is, we definitely want to gear that up in 2022, and maybe once a month we do a show from Black Rifle. The
Cool.
franchisee, the owner of that particular store, was very happy with what we did, but with Matt's schedule and with what I had going on, it's been really difficult to even get another one set up. But that's kind of in the tentative plan for 2022.
Cool. All right, man. Paul, let you go. Let you talk to some other folks.
All right,
good to
man.
Talk to you again. I'm glad you're doing well.
Thanks, man. Thanks for calling.
Yep.
All right. See you. All right. Our good friend JD. JD was the gentleman that actually won the auction and spent a day on the water with Matt, and then he spent an evening of beer and pizza at the bowling center and competed against Matt and myself. And we won't talk about who won that one. Oh, somebody was on and then they left. So we'll take one more phone call if you call in, and then I'll have to wrap things up and get to class. So let's take this call here. Hey, you're on BTL. Who is this?
John from Michigan.
John, how are you, man? What's on your mind?
Doing fantastic. Hey, Mark, I need to use that phrase you don't like one more time just to frame my question.
Okay, I'm good with that.
What would you say is the difference between growing the sport and growing the industry, and which is more important?
Well, did you listen to the show yesterday?
Yes, I did.
And I was somewhat pretty forthcoming in and I've said this years ago, that it's not about growing the sport. It's about making the sport better and making the impression on the people to increase the participation level. And the whole growing the sport thing is so broad, it's not very direct. And I was serious with what I brought up yesterday. Are these organizations more concerned about growing their tournament base and their tournament anglers, or growing what I classify as the bobbers? Because here's the challenge, and I kind of discussed this a little bit, and that 500,000 membership number that Bass has had for quite some time, we haven't seen that growth. The challenge is, and there was a comment on the show from yesterday from a fan, and I wish I could pull it up. And I actually talked to Kelly Jordan about this a little bit last night on the phone. But, and I'm paraphrasing here, the fan said, there are football fans that will never play football, but the bass fishing fans all primarily fish. Now, that's a pretty deep statement in the context that, do you think he's 100% right on that?
Well, I don't think you can grow the sport without growing the bobbers.
No, I agree.
It's those bobber anglers that become bass anglers.
I agree,
and
but
some percentage of us get hooked on the tournament aspect of the game, and some will never sit and watch hours of tournament competition.
No, I get that, and that's a valid point. But think about this viewer's statement, though. All right, there's a zillion people out there that will never play football, but they're football fans.
Sure.
But what is the percentage of fishing fans that don't fish?
Very, very small.
Very small. So the challenge is, how do you get those people that don't fish interested in fishing? Well, there's pretty much one way. You got to get that rod and reel in their hand, and they have to experience it. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Absolutely, no question.
So that is the challenge. It's not, going back and forth on whether a 5-fish format is right or weigh everything that you catch. That's not the true compelling challenge in this industry to make the sport better. The challenge is to get that person who knows nothing about fishing to experience what it's like to catch a fish. That is the challenge. And quite honestly, I don't think anybody has the answer right now. I don't think we've seen the answer. I think the answer is still out there, but that is one of the largest challenges in that term that everybody likes to say is, but it could really be simplified. How do you get people with that rod and reel in their hand to experience what it's like catching a fish? Once you've done that, okay, now it's what's next. It's how do you continue to have them be immersed and interested in that experience, wanting that experience more and more. And there's been a lot discussed and talked about how the numbers of licenses across the country has increased because of COVID. But the challenge now is once we are gradually working our way back to what could be deemed as normality, how do we continue to keep those people interested and motivated to continue to fish?
That guy that bought his first license ever in 2020.
Yeah.
What keeps him fishing 3 years from now when hopefully life is back to normal?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then does he ever become a fan of the sport necessarily?
That's a great question. That really is. Does he? And how does he? Does he come immersed in the competition level and the competitive format of the game because he wants to participate at that level? Or is he or she just concerned about going out and having a good time and catching some fish?
And you and I are from the same generation. I became hooked on tournament fishing watching the Nashville Network and the Bassmasters.
Yep.
I guess I had a rod in my hand as a child, but, before I was interested in tournament competition, I was interested in watching it and learning from it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I just go back to what you said a few moments ago. So what is the answer? What drives what's next?
That's the $1 zillion question, man. And I think everybody in this industry is trying to do their part to continue what momentum has been established due to the COVID situation. But hence, that's why I brought up the question yesterday. Is it about growing the tournament business or is it about growing the bobber business? And when I say bobber, I'm talking about the entry-level people because typically that's the first thing that,
And the frustrating part of that is, from my perspective, it seems like the answer to that question depends on who you're asking it to. Because if you're asking it somebody from the boat industry, growing the business, selling more boats. If you're talking to a tournament competitor, growing the industry is how do they get to fish for a bigger pot for a smaller entry fee?
Yeah.
And, the real answer has to lie more in something that's less selfish.
Yeah. I was thinking about this last night. I was talking to Dean Rojas, and we were kind of reflecting on some of the early stages in the Elite Series and some of the stories that we had. And I remember seeing so many people and I'm not talking about the weigh-in. I'm just talking about during practice and stuff. And I remember it was at the St. John's River one year, and we were down there trying to get stories from practice, and there would be some people around the boat ramps and stuff, and you would see a few kids every now and then, and I would ask them, and I would talk to them, hey man, is this what you want to do? You want to be a professional angler? And most of the time they were just like, no, I want to go fish. I just want to go fish. I just want to catch fish. So they weren't really into the whole tournament scene. They were into the scene of catching fish. So think about where we have come from 20 years ago to where we are today, to where anytime that you look from a fan perspective, and strictly from a fan perspective, anytime that you look at information from any of the organizations, and I'm talking all three, where is the emphasis? The emphasis is on the tournament fishing. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely.
All right. So has the industry really done everything that they could? And like I said earlier, I don't think the answer is out there yet. I don't think anybody's really dialed in the answer yet. In order for this cycle, because that's what it is, in order for this cycle to continue, where does the focus need to be? Does the focus need to be in showcasing and trying to truly get these non-fishing fans to become fans of the tournament game? Or is it more imperative and important to get that person that knows nothing about fishing to go, hey man, you know, your buddy at work, hey, I saw you with a fishing shirt on. Do you fish? Yeah, I fish, man. Tell you what, I got this farm pond. Why don't we go down to this farm pond this weekend? You interested in trying to go down and catching some fish? Well, yeah, I didn't know you could fish farm ponds. And then, boom, that guy at work or that younger, kid that you might be in college with, or, a part-time guy that's working whatever occupation that you have. Now you just expose somebody not to the tournament game, but to the fishing game. And I've told this story many, many years ago about how I got into it. And the whole thing was a result of somebody on the OU baseball team asking me to go fish at his uncle's ponds. That's how I got into it. I knew nothing about tournament fishing. And it evolved from fishing and catching fish in those ponds to going to the lake and then seeing a club tournament for the first time and going, all right, I'm a competitive dude. I'm interested in that. All right, what do you got to do that? And it evolved. The cycle evolved. And I think sometimes now that cycle is being lost because there's so much focus on the tournament game. And I don't know, man. What are your thoughts?
I think that's the easy part of the equation. That's the no-brainer question. I think it's far more important to get rods in more hands than to increase participation in tournaments.
Let me ask you this.
One will likely lead to the other, but the first is more important.
Let me ask you this, and if anybody out there that's listening or watching, if you're listening to the replay on the podcast or you're watching the replay and you're not live, feel free to shoot me an email. But I just thought of this. This is something that I haven't even really thought about, and I'm going to spew it out right now. Have you ever heard of an angler, of a professional angler? And I'm not talking about a regional guy, maybe, somebody that's dominant in their region that everybody knows and it has been really good. Have you ever heard of a touring pro or a regional professional putting out on social media, hey, everybody, I just want to let you know I'm going to be at the boat ramp of Lake Eufaula on Thursday at 8 a.m. I would love for you to come by, talk a little bit about it. You know what? Even if we have time, we'll see if I can take you out, and we'll go out in Eufaula Cove, and we'll just kind of hang out for a little while. Have you ever heard of anybody doing that?
100% definitely not in the bass industry.
Yeah.
Walleye industry, that's a little more common. maybe not hop in my boat, let's go fishing, but hey, meet up here at the ramp and let's talk fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think you see that more in
walleye,
muskie event, the muskie crowd. That crowd is less focused on the professional aspect of angling than the bass crowd, I think.
But and I know guys, I know guys' time commitment and everybody wants to be compensated for their time and all that and everything. But honestly, that may not be the best place either, because if you have people at the ramp, they probably are fishing already. It's somehow, some way, come up with some kind of concoction or effort to really get those rods and reels in the hands. I remember in professional sports and college sports, for so many years, there was a term called, you got to put butts in the seats. We got to get butts in the seats. And that was said for years. And now, obviously pre-COVID, I mean, everything was sold out and there's a waiting list and all that. Well, you know what? We got to put rods and reels in people's hands. And whatever the best method or concept that somebody comes up with to do that, not for the people that currently fish, but the fish that have never had their butt in the seat, that is going to be the answer. Agree or disagree?
When the industry as a whole embraces that, the sport will grow.
I am a firm believer in, you got to get the rods in the hands. You got to get the rods in the hands, not the people that have 12 of them inside their boat rod locker or in their garage or in their house or wherever.
Right.
Right. That's what's next. That's what I think is next. That as a whole in this cycle that everybody is trying to grow, the cycle that chunk of the cycle that is being missed out is putting the rods and reels in the hands of those guys. Now, before I go on, folks, there are some great people out there across this nation that in the capacity that they have, they are trying to do this. In fact, Ken Duke sent me a text about a gentleman down in Texas that is trying to do this. All right, I know it's happening, but until we see that interest that is sparked from that man or woman, boy or girl that goes to a farm pond or goes to a boat dock on a lake or does whatever and experiences that rod and reel in their hand and what it's like to catch that fish and retains that aggression and that interest of doing that, we're going to be status quo.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
Mark. No, 100%.
Yeah. So,
and if anybody can develop that and formulate that and push that, you guys can.
Yeah. Well, I like I said yesterday, folks, this is not gloom and doom. This industry is really, really good right now from the business aspect of it. There are some massive challenges because of what we've been through over the last 20, 24 months. But, the tournament business is good. You have people that are doing everything that they can to try and earn a spot in the tournament series. The NPFL coming back next year, they got a title sponsor in Progressive. It is challenging, but at the same time, there are people and there are folks out there that are doing a fantastic job in this industry. It's not gloom and doom. But like I told Ken yesterday, what's it going to be like when him and I are 75, 15 years from now, and we're sitting around this table and we're going, man, let's go back and play that show we did. Nothing's changed. Everything's the same. So, I don't know, man. It's a fun time, but at the same time, it is a concerning time about the direction on where this entire industry is going to be 5, 10, 15 years from now.
Well, thanks for drilling down on that question, Mark.
Yeah, sorry. You got me yakking, man. I appreciate
glad you're recovering.
Yeah. I appreciate you calling in, man.
Have a great one.
All right, you too. Be safe. All right, folks, that is going to wrap up today. Great calls. Greatly appreciate all the feedback on the instant feedback and on the comments that are on the YouTube feed. So tomorrow, no show tomorrow. Did not work out what I was trying to put together. And then we will have, obviously, everybody's favorite day of the week, day 4, with Frank on Thursday. And I have no idea what Frank's going to talk about on Thursday. But it's always a great thing. And I don't have Matt here to cover for me while I get the close set up. Did it work? No, it didn't work. Let's see here. There we go. I have music. That was weird. I have no idea why that was playing because I had it shut down through the callers. Anyway, once again, I want to thank Kara Davison for taking time out to be on BTL. And I know it was a quick interview, but we will definitely do what we can when her schedule slows down to get her back on the show. Great stuff, great conversation. Thank you, folks, for calling in today. And we will be back with the man, Frank Scalish, on Thursday for day 4. So everybody out there, have a great Tuesday and Wednesday. I will be back with Frank on Thursday. That's it. I am out of here.